Witam Ciebie w kolejnym materiale wideo. W tym materiale wideo jest to odcinek bardzo wyjątkowy, ponieważ tym odcinkiem zapowiadam kolejną serię materiałów, które przygotowuję dla Ciebie z udziałem osób z całego świata, które są zaangażowane w świat diet low carb, keto i carnivore. A w tym odcinku przedstawić chcę i pragnę Tobie Rinę z Australii, która jest właścicielką, twórczynią systemu, który opiera się na koncepcji 5-minutowego ciała. Co to oznacza? Oznacza to, że po prostu, po pierwsze, większość rezultatów, które osiągasz dzięki zmianom w diecie. Po drugie, ćwiczenia i ruch są wykonywane w sposób naturalny, niewymuszony, nie w sposób standardowy, tak jak mówi o tym cała branża fitness. Po trzecie, dbasz o swój sen, dbasz o stres i to są przede wszystkim najważniejsze elementy całego systemu, gdzie do tego jeszcze Rina dokłada coś takiego jak odpowiedni mindset, odpowiednie nastawienie, nad którym pracuje razem z innymi osobami z całego świata po to, aby głównie kobiety, ale i mężczyźni odczuwali czy doświadczali lepszej jakości życia. A zatem zapraszam Ciebie do wywiadu z Riną, gdzie miałem zaszczyt, przyjemność z nią rozmawiać na temat jej programu, na temat diety carnivore w ogóle. Zapraszam Ciebie, mam nadzieję, że wyciągniesz z tego wywiadu jak najwięcej. Z góry przepraszam Ciebie za jakość mojej kamery, która niestety w nieodpowiednim świetle nie radzi sobie z jakością obrazu, ale najważniejsze, że Rina jest widoczna i słyszalna bezbłędnie, gdzie możesz sobie włączyć napisy i oczywiście oglądając przetłumaczyć sobie je na język polski. Zatem zapraszam Ciebie jeszcze raz gorąco na wywiad z Riną, która jest twórczynią systemu 5minutebody, gdzie pod taką właśnie domeną, oczywiście link na dole, znajdziesz Rinę i jej cały system, sposób w jaki pracuje z klientami z całego świata, gdzie zazwyczaj mamy tutaj do czynienia z pracą grupową, czyli jest to tak naprawdę osiągalne dla każdej z Was, drogie panie i drodzy panowie, w drugiej kolejności. Wybaczcie, ale tutaj kobiety, myślę, mogą skorzystać jak najwięcej. Dziękuję za uwagę z góry, serdecznie zapraszam do oglądania, no i zapraszam na kolejne wywiady, które już niebawem. Najlepszego, trzymaj się, cześć! Good morning, everybody. Today I have a wonderful lady, and she's an expert in physiology, in personal change. She is the one that promotes, I would say, not typical lifestyle, a carnivore lifestyle, which is a zero carb based lifestyle, but she's also got a holistic model for women, and not only for women, but I'm not going to say much about her, and let me introduce Rina from Australia. And Rina, please, could you tell us something about yourself, what you do in life, and about your 5-minute body, which is a very appealing model for ladies, not only for ladies.
It is appealing. It is appealing because it's free, it's easy, you don't need any fancy gym membership, you don't need any fancy diet. So that's what I'm all about, which is really helping people achieve happiness, joy, optimal health, curing pain, curing disease, and finding the habits and the optimal way to actually do that. So starting off with a carnivore, and when it comes to carnivore, it is a label. So I do like to say that with these groups around carnivore, keto, paleo, they are labels, and a lot of it can be marketing, trying to attract you to a certain lifestyle. But basically where it comes from is actually having a human species appropriate diet. Now, from an evolution point of view, where we've come from is predominantly eating meat. And the problem is that through the 80s, the USDA changed their food guidelines to, guess what? Eating low fat vegetables and lowering cholesterol. And what we've seen is mental health illness. We've seen depression, anxiety. We've seen diabetes, metabolic syndrome. So really eating a proper human diet, as Dr. Ken Berry says, is what we need to do, and the amount of healing and the amount of longevity and happiness that we can achieve just from doing that one thing is remarkable. And that's my passion. That's what I want to share with everyone, to start lowering their carbs as much as possible. If they can do zero carb, perfect. But doing it to the extent that you can do to maintain consistency, but more importantly, happiness in your life.
Sounds interesting. Sounds amazing. I believe there is also a personal story behind that. Could you tell us
around me? Oh, yes.
Yeah. Could you tell us?
Yeah, sure.
About
so,
that?
So I am 40 next year. Since I was 18 or even 19, I have been on a journey to really just try. I used to have body image issues. So I was trying to achieve health, trying to do what I was told in the media, which is exercise loads, eat low fat, eat high carb, eat frequent meals. And then through that period of not giving myself nutrients, I developed eating disorders, specifically something called night eating syndrome. I don't know if anyone has heard about that, but basically it is where you wake up in the middle of the night and you consume the majority of your calories in the middle of the night. And the reason for that is because your body is starving. It's starving of nutrients. And especially when you calorie restrict, when you portion control, these lead to a lot of eating disorders, and your brain and your body, and more importantly, your gut, can't function. So that was a cascade until I was 30, and I found keto, and I thought, oh, this is going to be the answer to all my problems. Keto, fabulous, eating meat, vegetables, fat. But then I also had a lot of sugar addiction. So keto did not solve any of the problems. If anything, I would eat half a jar of peanut butter. I would make almond butter cookies and I would eat the whole thing in one evening. And my partner would say, can't you just eat one or two? I'm thinking, no, I can't. If something is there, I want to eat it. So really keto for me, it didn't fix my issues when it comes to addiction. And only a year and a half ago was when I found the carnivore lifestyle, and I never really ate red meat ever. I was eating chicken, I was eating a lot of fish, but not red meat, because red meat, maybe it's not healthy for us. It's not sexy for women to eat red meat. It's a bit strange because that would be something that, men should eat. But when I started to eat red meat, especially beef and more fat, that's really where I found the feeling to want to eat more, the addictive nature went down. So even if there's a plate in front of me, I don't feel the need to want to eat all that food because I know when I'm feeling full. At the same time, I also stopped exercising.
Mm-hmm.
And that was remarkable and that's what I'm also passionate about, which is, exercise, it has a role to play in your hormones, but when it comes to fat loss, when it comes to healing and health, structured exercise is not what I counsel people. It's more about moving your body in a humane way, the way that we're meant to move, which is not a gym membership. It's not going to the gym, doing structured bodybuilding workouts. Unless you're an athlete, fine. But for most people, it's not that. It's just moving your body in ways that are natural, in ways that you can.
Mm-hmm. So did you find it challenging? I mean, psychologically, because as you have said, like eating red meat, especially for women, is not sexy. And as far as I remember, like I have started like in 2002, I believe. And, all of the people around me told me that I'm going to die shortly, eating. I also started with keto. And people seeing me like eating 20 eggs a day, and people eating like seeing me eating liver or stuff that is normally prohibited. Like at the beginning, I found that like is it the type of personality that I have that you say something that is impossible and you watch me doing that right now, but how did you manage to take it psychologically? Was there any stress related to that? Especially I can say something about being a man, doing something that is just the adverse that those people do in general. But how did you find it like as a woman?
I have a don't care attitude, really. So I really don't care. I mean, I think it's a product of age where you really don't care what people think about you. And for me, I just did it overnight. I just threw out all of the keto or keto approved foods, things that I didn't want to eat. I just threw them out, didn't really care. I'm more of an abstainer rather than a moderator. So, I'm very decisive. So if I want to make a change, I will make a change. And that I think that's quite a strong characteristic in my personality. I do find that a lot of successful carnivores, they do have that as well, where they just have very clear thinking, they know how they feel. And it's not something that you have to shy away from people, but at the same time, I don't think it's something that you need to promote to people. Because if you're doing something and it makes you feel good, somebody else might pick up on, oh, look, Rina, your skin is better. Your energy is better. You have less social anxiety. Like, what are you doing? What are you working on? And you can just say, hey, like, I actually avoided all the vegetables and fruits and seed oils. I don't eat chocolate. I'm avoiding anything with sugar, and I actually feel better.
Okay, and tell us something about the 5 minute body, which appeals, that appeals sexy because it sounds like catchy, and
Yeah.
it is interesting because from my point of view, being a hypnotherapist and being a person that
Huh.
yeah, I'm a meditation trainer, and I always tell to people that managing stress, it's something that is closely related to your diet and the way how you behave and act daily. And I believe that there is depth to this 5 minute body. Could you tell us something about that?
Sure. So the premise of 5 Minute Body, where it came from, was really about my personal transformation. And it's really about habit stacking. Everything that you do and see and feel in your life is really a combination of habits. And habits are something that are formed in your brain in terms of a neurological pathway, just circuits. So imagine an electric circuit, and it's just formed, but it can be changed. So when you have these addictions towards anything, coffee, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, or it could be just doing a behavior unrelated to health that you want to quit. It's all about changing your wiring and changing your habits. And I notice when people want to make a change, most people can't do what I do, which is just change overnight and make it consistent. You'll have the New Year's resolutions, you'll have something that is just, oh, let me just do it for a week or a month. But really, if you want to make a lifelong change, you need to change your habits. So the way that I distill it down in 5 Minute Body is focusing on three things, which is your diet, which is the way that you move, and the way that you think. And actually implementing that in very simple, tiny, tiny, tiny ways that you almost think that's not going to do anything. It's too easy. And I want it to be easy so that you make permanent change. As an example, eating an animal-based diet, it's not going to happen for most people overnight. If they do, they'll most likely quit. 99% of people will fail on any diet. That's why we see yo-yo dieting. That's why we see all these problems. But what if, no matter where you're starting from, if it's a standard American diet, if it's paleo or keto, what if you just took away the least addictive food for you for a week? So let's just say for you, it was, I really don't care about bread. I could take it or leave it. So you just completely eliminate bread, or it could be pasta or anything that's least addictive. And you do that one by one each week. And then your improvements and your new life will occur over time. And this is something that is, I know from Atomic Habits, James Clear, he talks about habit stacking. So really, you're really trying to stack your habits against each other to create success. So example, how do you brush your teeth every day? Do you have to push yourself, or is it a habit? It's a habit. How does somebody go to eat zero carb and just eat meat? They have to make a slow, progressive transition by changing their habits over time. So that's how I counsel people. Also, how to move. If you just sit all day and do nothing, getting up and moving for 30 seconds 1 minute, everyone can do it. And it's over time, you will progress over time and do more, because what happens is people have an obstacle in their mind around how hard something is. Oh, exercising for 30 minutes or even moving for 30 minutes or 15 minutes, it's not enough, or I don't feel like it. But I'm sure that everybody could get up right now and they could do jumping jacks for 30 seconds. And it's going to make you feel better, because you'll think, yes, I've done it. It's a dopamine hit. And then along that is also focusing on your mindset. So you'll know a lot about this. Focusing on how you think, how you show up with your energy every day, and simple techniques that we can use to change the habits of how you think as well.
Okay. So could you give us some examples? For example, like somebody is about to start working with you, and she or he is about to change their thinking. How do you work with that? What are for example, some specific tools that you could give them and to make them apply in their daily lives?
So the first thing that I would do, apart from changing the mindset, is working on the food, working on the nutrients that you feed in your body, because you can't, in my experience, you can't think clearly. Your brain won't think clearly unless your gut is in order. So the healing component around what you eat, lowering your stress, doing that first. Then what I like to start to do is to add in some affirmation statements. Something as simple as, I can do hard things. Or for me, sometimes when I feel a sense of anxiety, I'll say to myself, Rina, you're safe. You're safe. And I'll have some physical things that go with it. Like, for example, I'll rub my hands together, rub my feet together. And all this is, especially if you come from anxiety or depression, it's coming from a lack of nurturing, which could be from your childhood. So when you understand that you are your best friend, you are the protector of yourself, and you love yourself entirely, and changing those thoughts one by one. So starting off with the affirmation statement, even starting off with some meditation, even for 30 seconds, even for 10 seconds, because a lot of people, they will find it so difficult to sit for even 5 minutes just to monitor the thoughts. They'll find it incredibly difficult. But we just start off with 30 seconds. We just start off with a minute, and we progressively see how that goes over time. And the question is, well, what did you think about when you monitor your thoughts in that 30 seconds? And sometimes it's incredible what people think, because we have around 6,000 thoughts a day. 6,000 thoughts, which are directing our lives. Imagine if they were all positive and can do. Imagine we would be so limitless in our energy and in our ability to be ultimately achieving what we want to achieve. But our world is geared towards negativity. So changing that statement by statement, habit by habit, is what we can do.
I can see passion right there. And
listen, everybody can, like, the greatest thing is that everybody can change, every single person, and it doesn't cost you a cent. This is what is so important to me to convey to people, because I saw psychologists, doctors, psychiatrists. I did hypnotherapy as well to heal all my eating disorders. And it's not only when I kind of did less, I was focusing on simplicity, not dieting, managing how I think, kindness, moving in a way that is just natural, that's not overextending myself. And it's actually quite life-changing.
Okay, and what about movement? Like, what would be your recommendation for somebody just to start? As you have said, like, just move. Like, it could be 30 seconds, it could be anything. But what kind of workout lifestyle would you recommend?
So it depends on where they're coming from. So if they don't have any athletic performance goals, I wouldn't recommend a workout. But, something as simple as standing while you're working, it works your core, it works your legs. even moving around the house, picking up things, going for a walk, anything that you can do, anything that you enjoy. Let's say that you love roller skating, go out and do it. Anything that you used to love as a child, go out and do it. This thing about having to go to the gym and lifting weights, yes, it's important for strength. Yes, it's important for as you age to gain that strength, but we can do it with whole body movements. If somebody wants a more structured program because they just want that, so full body movement patterns, so squatting, lunging, deadlifting, push-ups, and a pulling exercise is good as foundation movements to get your strength, to get your body moving. And you can use that with your body weight. You don't have to have fancy weights or fancy machines. You can just use what you have at home, use your own body weight. And especially a challenge is for women, especially, try doing some push-ups. It's not easy.
It's challenging, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, but when you do, just focus on one push-up on your feet. Just try. And then if that's too much, go on your knees, and you'll see, it works your chest, your triceps, your shoulders, your core. So all these functional movements are really important.
Great. And what about stress? Because not many people realize that it is closely related to how do we feel. It is related to our blood sugar level. And what would be your basic recommendations for someone that doesn't have any tools whatsoever to handle stress on a daily basis?
So the main thing about stress is, even if you are following a really good diet and you're doing the perfect movement, your stress can ruin everything. So we're basically a bunch of hormones running around. That's basically what we are. So our hormones dictate our health. And the main hormone I know that you'll know is cortisol. And cortisol, if that's elevated, that's going to promote a cascade of other hormones that's going to get disrupted, like your insulin, that's going to affect your glucose. So really, when it comes down to stress, you have a lot of external stress, which you can't control, whether it be your job, whether it be your kids screaming, your husband, your partner, the economy, inflation. We actually don't have any control out of any of those. But what you can do is to manage the way that you perceive this stress. And it's not easy by any means, because we're conditioned to see all this negativity and all these different things happening in the world. But if we can perceive it in a way that doesn't cause us to feel stressed, that is the way. So there's a few things that we can do. Firstly, controlling how we think, which I mentioned, the mindset, but also our breath. Focusing on slow, deep breathing is very important. And there are some fancy techniques like box breathing. You can do even slower breathing as well. That's really important. But really what it is that when you have a heightened sense of stress, you'll notice your heart rate increases, your breathing is more shallow, and you have a bit of nervousness or tension. So slowing down your body, the breathing techniques helps. You can have a warm shower. You can really, apart from those things, is trying to actually lower the stress that you have in your life. Because a lot of the time, this is to do with consumerism, which is buying things, wanting more things, wanting a bigger house, wanting things that are fancy. But these actually exacerbate our stress, because we need money to pay for all those things, so that we need to do a job. Maybe we don't like our job. And these are all very stressful things. So at the same time, if we can focus on having a simple life and actually focus on acts of kindness, that over time, it helps with stress.
Like acts of kindness, I think that it is clearly laid out in your program and in your mind as well. But a lot of studies show the advantages of oxytocin, which is being secreted while being kind, and all these, as you have said, like all these hormones related to flow state that we can induce on a daily basis. And there is also a lot of breathing techniques that you can apply. Okay, what about sleep? Because I know that there is also one thing related to sleep.
Yes. So sleep is something that is really important for our health because, again, with stress, if you don't sleep well, it's going to exacerbate your stress. If you don't sleep well, it's going to exacerbate your stress. And this thing, our phone, that's not our friend.
Yeah.
We need to control how we actually use this technology and technology in general, because believe it or not, when you go to sleep, any blue light, any energy that we have around us, for example, EMFs that get emitted from the phone, that get emitted from any device that you have connected next to you, is going to affect your sleep. So what we're after is that REM sleep, the deep sleep, and actually sleeping at an earlier time, around 9 or 10 p.m. every single night is actually going to help you get into a deeper sleep. But a lot of the time, people struggle with sleep. And it comes from stress, it comes from your lifestyle, and it comes from what you eat. So if you follow a close to a zero carb diet, if you're moving in a way that's natural, if you switch off from using any electronics at least an hour before bed, don't touch your phone, don't touch anything an hour when you wake up, because these are the times that you have to reset your cortisol and your melatonin. And doing it in such an easy way, like going out in the sunshine, setting your circadian rhythms. So when you see the sunlight, a natural sunlight, it's going to increase your melatonin. Sorry, decrease your melatonin is for sleep. So it's going to increase your cortisol. Your cortisol naturally increases in the morning. So going outside, or even if you have a window, look up at the sun, look up at the daylight. And that's really going to help, but don't look at your phone, because your phone emits blue light. And then in the evening, shutting down technology, an hour. I mean, I do it 2 hours prior to sleep. And then just doing things that are very nurturing, a warm bath. I don't engage in anything too stimulating prior to bed. So not having any major conversations. Don't speak to negative people. Have time to journal. Have time to just write down your thoughts. And that's really going to help with falling asleep. The other thing is that if you focus on what you eat and eat a nutrient-dense diet, that's going to help to maintain sleep through the night. Because a lot of people that I coach, they say, I wake up in the middle of the night, I have to go to the bathroom. I wake up in the middle of the night, I can't go back to sleep. So part of it is your hormones as well. But if you put the other things in check, it is going to help with your rest. And I really think that it does come down to what you eat and how you think, because how you think will manage your stress. How you think and what you eat will also manage how you can sleep as well, and not over exercising. So moving in a gentle way.
So these are the elements that are crucial, and also they are all related to each other. But as you are talking about the points of the program, the main agenda, isn't it all about the self-love that we are going to practice daily?
Absolutely. And self-love is really something that's a bit woohoo. It sounds a bit like, oh yeah, I need to love myself. But it's really something that takes time, like accepting yourself for who you are with all your experience that you've gone through traveling through your whole life is something that is a skill. And it takes actually time and quiet time to reflect, to think about your life, to think about, who you are as a person, what makes up, for example, Rina. What are the qualities that make up Rina? Even to externalize and to understand what I wear, how my hair is, how anything is not who I am as a person, but my soul. And when I connect with other people with kindness and love, that's the energy that I'm radiating to somebody else. As an example, when you smile, the other person can't help but smile. You can't help but smile. If you say things if you laugh, if you take things easy, these are all little simple things that we can do just to start accepting others, but also start accepting ourselves and getting away from what society says that we should do, think, and feel. We should, like, for example, for me, it was weighing a certain number. being a size, whatever I wanted to be. It was looking a certain way. It was doing these things which was portrayed to me by media and marketing so that they wanted to sell you something. It was having a fancy car and getting into debt, or the fact that, oh, I just thought, okay, for me to build my investment portfolio, let me get properties and get debt and mortgages, which really stressed me out. So through this journey, I've just let go of all those things that don't serve me in a way that gives me happiness every day. That's what I've let go. And then that's really allowed me to find the time, the space, and the energy to focus on me and myself. And then part of that is that you can really see your habits. Sometimes you'll do something and you'll think, geez, why did I do that? Because it's an automatic unconscious behavior. And then it's only when you have that space to see that behavior that you can change it.
Great depth that I can see, and great.
Oh, I love, see, this is the thing that when I connect with people and talk to people, is that I love to go deep. I love to really understand like who you are, what are your passions in life, what are the things that, give you happiness, what are your challenges and struggles. That's what I love to do, because we're all here to help each other. With the faith of the universe and giving out good energy, there really isn't any struggles or challenges that we can have. There's a lot of things out there portrayed in the world, but doesn't mean that we have to take it into our lives. We have a choice.
Okay. So there is the spirituality right there, and I'm curious. I'm really curious. How would you connect these two dots? Because some people, I know from my experience, some people would say that these two things exclude themselves. I mean, the carnivore diet and the spirituality. How do you connect these dots?
How does spirituality how is it disconnected or unrelated to carnivore? Because spirituality is one thing in terms of what if you just, so the opposite is being an atheist, just thinking that there's nothing out there, there's no energy. But there was science around, I think, something about water and the frequency that when you give negative energy to water, the molecules actually changed. I saw something around that.
Emotos studies.
And yeah. So I don't know how the frequency and the energy that you emit as a person and feeding yourself with nutrients to optimize your hormones, I don't see how that's unrelated. If somebody wants to give that as an objection, because the energy that you exude to somebody else and whatever you give to somebody else is coming from the inside, from your cells. It's coming from your energy that you have, your mitochondria, your everything that is making up who we are. At the end of the day, we're just molecules as well. So I don't think it's unrelated. I think that there'll be people questioning faith and universe, religion. I think that's something that I have seen, but I've never seen somebody question the connection between religion, faith, and carnivore. But you can tell me if somebody, if you've heard that.
Yeah. I'm just asking because I have been related to spirituality for quite a long time, and for example, as it comes to Buddhist people, it depends obviously what kind of Buddhism people practice, and it varies. But some people would tell me like, okay, how does it come you are an advocate of killing people, of killing animals, and some people would say, like, for example, it is so unspiritual, like that you are pro killing animals. I have done my homework. I have clarified it to myself, searching in different areas of spirituality, not religion, but yeah, so as you are saying, you have never encountered some such sort of
thinking. Well, okay, I have come across vegans, so it really depends upon where they're coming from and their belief systems.
Exactly.
I've come across vegans that eat plants, And a lot of the time, if somebody has an objection, it could be because they don't understand something, or it's just that the way that they do things, they think it's the best for us. I always say that the way I eat, the way I think, the way I move, it might not be the best thing. Who knows? I don't put this on everybody and say that this is the way that we need to behave and eat and move. No, if it's right for you, then do it. If a vegan is right for somebody, I don't know why, then do it. When it comes to religion, so you mentioned Buddhism. So my take on religion is that when it comes to religion, it's a bit controversial, but it's a way for people to conform in society, because as humans, they need rules. If you don't have rules, people would be chaotic and they will just do what they want to do. So where these religions come from, who knows? But there's a lot of religions all aspiring to the same thing, which is faith, love, having a set of rules to be a better person. When it comes to the specifics around don't eat beef, don't kill animals, don't, for example, have sex, or all these different things. For me personally, I don't really believe in any of that, but I do believe that there is a universal energy out there that's higher than humans that will help us, and it's energy. It's not a particular religion. And religion is very much, in my mind, like politics, like, big pharma, big food. It's orchestrated in a way to make you think a certain way and to put you into groups. And when you're into groups, you stop thinking, you start conforming. And when humans start doing that, then you have these powers that be where they start to control you. For example, the virus is, who knows where that came from? Is that a way that we were controlled? We don't know. I'm not saying that it was or it isn't, but really being open towards collectively understanding religion, whether it be Buddhism, whether it be Hinduism, Christianity, Muslim, understanding the premise of where it comes from. And to your point where you say that the idea of killing animals is not good, but from an evolution point of view, we are always part of a food cycle and a food chain, and we're at the top of the food chain. Every animal, if they want to survive, every species, they will hunt and kill anything below them. They'll try for what's above them, but they're not superior or powerful enough to kill what's above them. So killing is not a bad thing, it's survival. And as humans, where we evolve from, it is about survival. So that's my response to that. So, and that's something that we have been taught, which is don't kill, don't kill. But as humans, we need to nourish ourselves with food to survive. Otherwise, we would be wiped off this planet.
That's why I'm asking, because I believe, especially like women as being portrayed as more affectionate and more, some men that are unaware would say that women are more fragile, or more into feelings. I know that some women, for example, could abstain from the carnivore diet because they think that they will harm, they will be proposing killing. And I know that this line of reasoning might be helpful to some women that still think about, okay, what diet can I consider as the proper for me? And you have mentioned something about trying all the possible diets on earth, before you just bump into carnivore. Could you tell us about your personal history?
Yeah, so I did the low fat, high carbohydrate diet for a long time, tried veganism, vegetarianism, had terrible energy. I was never satiated, never full. The problem with me was because I was restricting calories, because I was focusing on over exercising, I was starving my body and starving my mind. Like doing too much coffee and just trying to eat. I was eating a lot of food, but it wasn't nutrient dense food. It was baked beans, it was toast, it was cereal, milk. And yeah, so I did the vegetarian, the vegan. That was like, I thought it was oh yeah, I'm doing the right thing and I feel I'm eating plants and fruits and different things. I must be healthy. But then I didn't really feel that great. And also when I was doing that, I was craving a lot of sugar and I would binge on sugar just things that I shouldn't be eating. And so I've tried that. I've tried paleo, Whole30. That didn't work because I think I'm very sensitive towards carbohydrates or even processed foods in general. And then I did keto. And when I was eating some vegetables, I would get really bloated. It really looked like I had a pregnant belly.
Yeah.
Like it was ridiculous just from eating vegetables. I could not tolerate it. And also I found that when I was eating things, the next day I would just feel a bit off. I had low energy. I didn't really feel like doing anything. Didn't really feel like doing much. I had a lot of anxiety. I would find it really hard to go out and socialize, which is pretty hard to tell because I like to talk. But the idea of like, oh, what am I going to eat? Like, how many calories are in this food? It would give me a lot of stress. So the idea around portions, calories, macros, thinking about all that stuff was just gave me so much anxiety until when I started just eating meat. And I just found that, and the switch was not just eating meat, but eating red meat and butter, bit of butter, like not too much, but egg yolks as well. That really made the switch because when I ate something, I could sense that I was full, but then I didn't really crave anything a few hours later. And I also started noticing over time that my feeling towards wanting to have something sweet was going away. Like I could just choose not to. Whereas previously it was a pull that if a donut was there or a cake, it was something that was just so triggering. But now I still feel like, oh, like those old triggers are still there in terms of the feeling that one had when they were having that kind of food. But then I just think, I know how that's going to make me feel. And I just think, well, I'd rather just have some meat. I'd rather just have something that's going to make me feel satisfied and full, because I know the bloat, the depression, the everything and it lasts for days. It's not just something that lasts for an evening. So that's really, I think that's probably every diet that I've tried. I've tried fruit only as well. That was terrible. I've tried juicing. Yeah, that's everything.
That's quite a lot of experience.
Yeah, because I was trying to, find, oh, how can I maintain my weight? How can I be a certain size, weigh this number? And when you really understand, when you shift your mentality towards wanting to think good and feel good, and look, when you're eating an animal-based diet, you're not going to get fat. You're really not going to get fat. And it's understanding that this is a way that it's actually going to nourish you as opposed to starve you of nutrients. So that's why people eat and eat and eat, especially women, especially when women have their periods.
Yep.
Especially when women go through a lot of emotions as well, because they're not getting a lot of nutrients. And I find interestingly that, especially with women as well, when they're eating the red meat, their hormones stabilize and their emotions stabilize. It's fascinating.
Yeah, we have a lot of studies testifying to that it can be really useful as it comes to curing depression and bipolar or schizophrenia. So yeah, we are on the right track. And I was asking about that because people, for example, that bump into your homepage, and they see the program, and they do not see like the amount of effort that you have made, the amount of suffering that you have gone through, the amount of trials and errors, and the amount of wisdom that it was produced by trial and error. And as I have read like all points of your program, I said to myself, I remember that's just the tip of an iceberg. There's a great wisdom because the model is totally holistic, allowing, for example, women, because you basically work with women, right?
A lot of women over 40 as well, because I'm 40, so they just relate to older women because they have a lot of issues as well, like
Mm-hmm.
so many problems that they just want to heal. But the problem is with women, they just want the fat loss. I just want to lose weight. I've got 10
Yeah.
pounds, 20 pounds, and I just want to lose weight. And then I always have to counsel them to say, let's heal. It takes time, but let's enjoy the process. So that's why I love having challenges. I'm doing a BBE challenge, so beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I have guest speakers on. This is my membership group. I have guest speakers on because it's all about the inspiration and the support
Mm-hmm.
to think, okay, let me try to unwind what I've been doing for decades, how I've made my body so toxic. And once you let your body heal, the weight and your hormones regulate, and then the weight just comes off, because there doesn't need to be a weight loss phase or a weight gain phase, or let me eat this many calories. If you're eating to satiety until you feel satiated, that's when you stop. In terms of your body weight and composition, that is going to be a natural optimal point once you have healed completely. Once we've got to there, then we can do different things to tweak if you want, better body composition. But the first step definitely is healing.
Mm-hmm. Could you tell us something about freedom? Because it seems that it appears in some of your films, and I know what you're talking about, but maybe could you tell, especially, could you address the women that, they are still suffering and still having issues with their mentality and physiology? What kind of freedom is that?
Multi-layer freedom. So when you say that word, it just means so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, food freedom, not caring about when you go out, what is on the menu, how many calories. I can't eat this. I shouldn't eat at this time of day. It's having the idea that I can actually be around people and they could be eating, and I have the discipline to say, because I'm just not hungry, to say, you know what, I can eat there. I can connect with you, but I don't have to eat. I'm not starving. And I'll eat on my next meal because maybe what's there is not what I want to eat, as an example. That gives you a lot of freedom. Whereas a lot of the time, if somebody was to go out and they're addicted to something, they have to exercise willpower to not have the cake, not have the cookie, not have the pasta. And that doesn't work. So imagine that you go out, you see something, and you just think, nah, I don't really feel like it. It gives you a lot of space. It gives you empowerment, and it gives you freedom. Also, exercise freedom, not having to, knowing that I can, today, if I don't feel like moving, I really don't have to move, because exercise is a really bad way to lose weight and to heal. Exercise is good when I want to get from point A to point B. It's good if I want to connect with people, but I don't have to be a slave to the gym. Going to the gym 6 times a week. I used to actually try to go 7 times a week, but then I'd be so exhausted and I would be forced to give myself a day off. So just having that freedom to not have to exercise. And actually, I move more now than I ever did before. So I will just go for a walk to the shops to buy grocery. I'll go for a walk with my partner. I will actually lift things. Like, for example, I'm moving overseas. So I will lift, pack things. I will lift boxes, anything. So all these different things actually add up in terms of movements. So it's the freedom around the guilt associated. And I know a lot of women, they will feel that guilt around, I should exercise. I need to work out. Oh, I haven't worked out. Why is that? And then also freedom as an extension of this lifestyle, when you go animal-based and you enjoy their simplicity, that extends to other parts of your life. For example, what you choose to wear, what you choose in terms of consumerism. I have really minimized my possessions, because I just looked at things and I just thought, wow, that really doesn't give me any sense of happiness and joy. And labels and material things, it really doesn't give you a lot of joy. So I've let go of a lot of those things. So it's faceted when it comes to freedom. And really, when you let go of all these barriers, that's when you can really connect with people and actually have something to say rather than just being, oh yeah, I'm doing the same thing, thinking the same way, doing the same job. You can really go for your passions in life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is about freedom.
Great, great. So once women from Poland, for example, want to have more freedom in life, and they will find you. And by the way, where they can find you?
So my social media is 5-Minute Body on Instagram, on YouTube. My membership group is on Patreon. So if you go on Patreon and look up 5-Minute Body Club, you can see it there. And that's the main, and my website is 5minutebody.com.
Perfect. And for example, women from Poland want to don't know whether it's possible to look as great as you, be as positive as you, and they start working with you. How much time does it take from someone that is pretty much agnostic to the world that you have really described right here? How much time does it take to transform their life? I mean, mentally and physiologically from your experience?
They start to transform overnight because when you and it's not just me, it's the support of my community.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a force of women that when you are in this group and you talk to all of us and we're so positive and we inspire you to go forward, and then you start thinking, yeah, I can do that, let me try that. So I always say that it's not just me, it's not an n equals 1, it's about community. It's about finding, and it might not be my community, it might be somebody else's community. It depends on who you connect with. But really, I find it actually really is overnight that you start feeling somewhat more positive because you start getting the support. And that's what we need, is the guidance, the support from like-minded people. And they don't have to be your next door neighbor. They can be around the world because we can use technology to connect. Like, for example, me connecting with you. This is amazing. So they can connect with people that are like-minded, that want the same things. So really, it's that fast to think the certain way. With food, it takes 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, because when you want to get rid of addiction, it takes time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, oh, overnight, you're going to be a rock star. No, it does take time because coffee, it could be alcohol, it could be carbohydrates or sweets. They're addictive. So, and it's not that hard. It's very, very easy. But if we do a slow progression using habits, tiny little habits, you'll get there over time. And a complete transformation, somebody could see that in as little as a month or even 3 months.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and could you tell us something about, assuming and knowing that you have a great experience in that, what would be like 3 mistakes or 3 really hardships that women can encounter while trying to change their lives, from the scratch?
I think the first thing is that when it comes to diet is that I need to fast. I should just eat a small portion. I should just eat 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, or I should just eat a steak because I see other people eating that. No, 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 no. You eat 3 meals a day, as big as you want, until you feel full, even comparing yourself to your husband or your partner, because I eat more than my partner and I'm not ashamed of it. It's fine.
That's interesting.
And that's okay. I do, because he eats these tiny portions. I used to be like that where, women, they think I need to eat half of what my husband eats or my partner or something because it's not sexy. But I eat more than him and it's fine because that's what I need. He doesn't need maybe as much nutrients or as much food. So that's the first thing. And I think the main thing is the all or nothing approach, that I must do just everything overnight and be perfect. The one thing I would say to anyone out there is to focus on the progress and not the perfection. And I always say that in my YouTube videos and everywhere, because this idea about you need to do 100% carnivore, 100% exercise, 100% anything is not realistic. But you can do the best that you can do. So even for me, doing 0 carb is beautiful. But for somebody else, maybe it's not realistic. Maybe it's not realistic in their lifestyle or their family. but they can do what they can do, which is to do low carb or even towards a keto diet. So the striving for progress, little baby steps to make you feel better, and ditch the perfection. That's what I say.
Okay, so ditch the perfection, take tiny steps, and pretty much forget everything about popular paradigms
Portion control.
about food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, like this whole thing about women should be a certain way, or, it's great to be feminine. It's great to be, have feminine qualities, but a really strong, confident, independent woman is a beautiful thing to accompany or to complement whomever you're with or a circle of friends. I think everybody can have that ability and have that empowerment.
Great. So, more personal question: Do you get like cheat days or cheat meals? I know that
Yeah. Well, I used to think I want to have a cake or I want to have something or the other. I tend not to, and the reason why is because I know how I'm going to feel. So when I have something like even cheese, so cheese I love, but I know when I have cheese, I don't feel good. I'll get really bloated and I start to get acne or some pimples. So as an example, if I have, let's just say anything sweet, anything with carbohydrates, anything starchy, or even mixing meat and carbohydrates, I will get so bloated. And the next day, the bloating maintains in my body, and until the next day, I start sweating at night. I have a thing where I'll start stuttering as well, because when I had a lot of anxiety, I used to stutter a lot because it was just me just feeling really uncomfortable. So I think that really helps me not cheat or treat. But when it comes back to the idea of not being perfect, if you want to have something, if you had a birthday, there's a birthday cake, have it. It's not going to kill you. It's having that birthday cake every day that's going to be detrimental towards your health. So if I want to have something, I'm going to have it. I don't say that I'm perfect carnivore. And by the way, those people that you say see that they are perfect carnivore, I don't think that they are perfect carnivore, because I really don't think that anybody can be 100%. Let me just eat meat all the time. I don't think it can be. So I don't eat meat all the time. I had, like, for example, a cocktail. It was really nice. But then I tried to choose a low sugar cocktail. What else? I had an avocado, half an avocado, big deal. I've had walnuts from time to time. I've had, I think that's really it. Let me think. I've had bread, like if I go out to a restaurant and it's like really good quality sourdough bread, I'll have it. I tend to choose higher quality ingredients because I just want to feel good. And this is something that happens over time. Once you start seeing how good you feel, you start understanding, I really don't want the consequences of eating certain foods. But then if you just want to have it, it's fine. Go for it.
So pretty much it is natural to get this sort of consciousness that you start to relate what you eat and how you feel and how you perform on a daily basis. It's that simple. Sometimes it simply dissolves itself, that you do not get addicted to any of these foods that people really get easily addicted to. Okay, great. So you work with people online, and you also work with women in person, or how does it work usually?
Well, I used to work with people in person, but I couldn't reach as many people. So I also do have a full-time job, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not my full-time job. So I used to be a trainer when I was 20, and I did coach people face-to-face, obviously. But now I do a lot of things online, but I'm doing more group coaching, which is with my membership program, because I do find, it's not just me talking, it's other people that have transformed their lives. We have people, as I said, that have SIBO for so many years. And this one person, she was just crying, like she'd be on calls crying, saying how eating a carnivore diet has cured her SIBO. Chronic fatigue syndrome as well, infertility, alcohol addiction, binge eating. All these women that we have, they share their story, and that's how I help and coach people. I really provide the platform. That's how I see it, because the power of all us ladies or even men out there to help each other is more powerful than just one person. So
sheer synergy. Yeah. Okay. So Rina, I still have a lot of questions, but I have no.
Oh, go ahead.
but pretty much what I wanted to say is that it's really amazing that you work with women and you have such higher consciousness and the ability to share with others, because it is really inspiring, seeing you being so positive, looking great, and still using an asset the fact that you are close to 40, right? Because it makes
next year.
So it is really motivating, so that people see you, can hear you, and women pretty much can say to themselves, okay, I have no excuses right now, because she looks like a fitness model, but she isn't, and she is like,
oh, I do not look like a fitness model, no way.
I mean, there are categories to the fitness modeling, but
yeah. But thank you
but that's what I thought, at first, like, okay, she's carnivore, she must be, doing a lot of things, but as you have said, like, it doesn't require, devoting your entire lifestyle, and to the fact that I want to look good and I want to feel great in my body, which requires like a bit of effort, I mean. And like, I promised like one more question, and I'll be trying to summarize all the beautiful stuff that you are sharing. But from your experience on a daily basis, how much time does it take you altogether to live the life that you live? I mean, the habits and maybe the rituals, the protocols that you apply. Because sometimes I know that women or people in general might be threatened by the thought that, okay, right now I'm going to change my life. And, having this old-fashioned thinking, like, I need a personal trainer, and that's 1 hour daily, then preparing the food 1 hour, and altogether it will take up, like, I don't know, 5-6 hours daily. I don't have time for that. How much on a daily basis does it take you to cherish your lifestyle that allows you to be yourself?
Well, I think it's good to give an idea of what I do and eat in a day, because that's a bit more illustrative in terms of habits, because I don't really time anything. It's more, I get up, like today I woke up at 4:30. It's very strange. 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's too early, but because I sleep early and I just want to sleep in, but I can't. So then I get up, and then my phone is next to me on airplane mode. I don't check it for 2 hours, actually 2 to 3 hours, not until 7 a.m. Because if somebody wants to contact me, or if there's anything on the phone, it's not urgent. The main thing in the morning that you have to feel is that nothing is urgent. That first moment when you wake up is your time. And I give myself an affirmation statement or something. So for example, it could be, I love doing hard things. Let's go.
Okay.
And then I go up the stairs, make my coffee, and I'll sit on the couch. While I'm drinking the coffee, I will just reflect on just what I'm grateful for, people I've met. Like, for example, the day before, I start visualizing what I want in my life, because I have goals that I want to achieve. And I start visualizing, seeing what it feels like to have those goals. And that just takes a few minutes, because it's by the time I finish my coffee. Then I will get up. This is now 10, 15 minutes after I've woken up. Then I'll get up. I just go straight to work, go to my laptop, start working. And then it's only about a few hours later that I'll check my phone. And usually it's going to be maybe an email, or it could be a WhatsApp message or something or the other, nothing major. But then I'll do a routine, which is making the bed, because making the bed is very, very important in terms of habit stacking and in terms of getting things done. A clean bed, a clean environment, decluttering is very important. I'll brush my teeth. I'll do my skincare, which is 5 products, very minimal, no brands, all active, medically based ingredients that's going to change and help with your skin. Then I'll get ready my clothes. I have a 20-item wardrobe. So it's not that hard to pick clothes. 2 things, put them on. It's very, very easy. So as you can see, less decisions that I have to do so I can focus on what I want to focus on. Fast forward to what I eat. I will eat 2 meals a day, usually, maybe 1 snack. But I just eat a lot of ground beef, 80-20 ground beef, and I'll pair that with bacon or some boiled eggs. I have an air fryer. So that takes 10 minutes. So I know I'm 10 minutes away from having a meal, 10 minutes. Then I just put the plates in the dishwasher, and that's my meal done. So that times 2 is 20 minutes. And then before I sleep, I don't use the phone for about 1 to 2 hours before sleep. So then I just go have a hot shower. I change into my pajamas. I just think of like gratitude. I just think of winding down, and that's it. It's not rocket science. And then during the day, if I have to do something, like for example, today I had to do grocery shopping, I'll walk. So that will be a 15-minute walk to the shops, 15-minute walk back. And that's my life every day.
So pretty much it's all about habits and simplicity.
Simplicity and habits. And it's the same thing with brushing your teeth. That's a habit that you just do at a certain time, and you can habit stack it. So you can say, okay, I'm going to brush my teeth, and straight after I'm going to make the bed. Or I can have a coffee, and while I'm having my coffee, I'm going to practice my gratitude. However long it takes me to have my coffee, I'm going to practice my gratitude. Okay, I'm going to have my first meal. Let me just try to introduce more beef. So simple things. Okay, I don't really feel like exercising, but I can get my partner, get a friend, and go out for a coffee, and let's walk to a place. That's good. So simple.
Sounds really great, not complicated, and opposing to what people think in general in terms of personal transformation. I mean, physiologically and mentally, and pretty much being a hypnotherapist myself, I know that change can be really simple, can be fast, and can be fun, which seems to be approved by you and your program and your lifestyle. So, Rina, thank you so much for this interview. If possible, I would love to reach out to you in some time in the future, because I believe that there's a lot of great women that might want to contact you and might want to change their lives and maybe get some inspiration from you. So it was really a great pleasure for me to have you. And I encourage you all wonderful women in Poland to reach Rina at 5minutebody.com. And as you can see, she's the one that will smile at you and give you a lot of inspiration and motivation, and pretty much really ground knowledge to transform your lives. So Rina, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And last question, what you would like me to wish you for today and for the rest of your life?
Oh, this interview and your energy has already made my afternoon absolutely fabulous. So I wish, no, actually, I don't wish anything. I just want to thank you for this connection, because anytime that we can connect with like-minded people, I'm telling you, it makes you happier. And even just from this conversation, I'll be just happy and just, enthusiastic, and it just gives you consistency in terms of how you live your life. The more like-minded people that you connect with, that's the gift. So thank you.
Thank you, Rina. Thank you, Rina. It's an honor and pleasure for me.